Hi everyone, playing Chronicles 6. So, today I made the mistake of trying to go to the toilet without my painkillers first. I was going to find them. Um, it didn't turn out well. It wasn't great. And I'm still in pain now, even after the painkillers. I think they've definitely kicked in, but I just didn't want to be reliant on the painkillers. I was gonna There was so much that I was going to say, but it all boiled down to this. This is a complete disaster. And it's not just a disaster for me either. It's actually a disaster for the gangstalkers because they have no fucking idea what they're doing. It's very evident that what they're trying to do is they're trying to gain control of the situation. And they think that if they cause me enough pain and if they try to... Because the thing is, they can't do the entrapment thing the normal way. They can't do it in the sense that, you know, I can get angry at somebody and they can call mental health or call the police and they can come round and, you know, they can do me for harassment and stuff like that. It's not quite happening like that. So what's happening is the handlers are kind of cranking up the electronic torture in the hopes that I'll start screaming at the neighbours. But I'm not being funny. The only reason I would do that at this point, even if I wanted to, was because I was in pain. It wouldn't be because of anything that they did. You know, it wouldn't be because of anything that they did. It would be because I'm in pain. It would be because of the electronic torture. I'm thinking they're trying to put all kinds of ideas in my head, like, oh, maybe you should go back to London. They've been doing that since before. The gangstalkers have been doing that since before all of this happened, like months before the pain in the tooth, months before the suicide attempt, months before the back problem. They've been trying to say, oh, you should go back to London, you should go back to London. The gangstalkers don't want me to go back to London. That's not what they want. They want me to be helpless. They want me to be helpless, and they want me... what they're doing is they do that with every single torture victim. They push on their line of least resistance in order to get the effects that they want. So ideally, what the gangstalkers would like is for me to be cowed into silence, which I'm not going to talk about anymore because it's not even worth going there. I'm not going to keep silent, and they know that. It's not even worth going there. So what they want me to do is to be cowed into silence and to be reliant on Big Brother. Again, when people abuse you to a certain degree, they're doing it so that you can be reliant on them to control when you're happy, when you're sad. Like, it's all about control, like I said before. But I don't think they want me to move back to London. I think they know that I don't want to move back there. So they're trying to put that in my head. Well, if you move back to London, all of this will stop. But I was in London and I was still inflicted with the most horrific torture. Like, the tooth torture didn't start with Brighton, it started with London. When I was in London, I was still inflicted with horrific torture. The only difference is that I was surrounded by family who were controlling. And I'm sorry to say, I love my family, but my family are very controlling. And they don't understand what's going on, and they don't entertain anything to do with the truth. It was actually worse. Like, I was going through a lot worse when I was in London than I am going through here. Yes, I've been through sexual harassment. Yes, I've been through racism. Yes, I've experienced a lot of bullshit since I've been here. But the fact that I've been able to do things my way in the way that I see fit, it's allowed me to progress a lot further than I would have done if I'd have stayed in London. So I love living in Brighton, don't get me wrong. Like, I still love it. I've burned a lot of bridges here, but I still love being here. That's the difference between here and London. In London, I burned bridges and that was enough for me to leave. Here, it's not enough for me to want to leave. I could go through the most agony. It's still not enough for me to want to leave. All my neighbours hate me. It's still not enough for me to want to leave. Not by a long chalk. I might have wanted to leave the hostel, but I didn't want to leave Hove. Not interested in leaving Brighton. I'm sorry. I know I've been through a lot here, but I've been through a lot here and I'll continue to go through a lot here. But again, it was the same in London. So what difference does it make? In London, the only time when any emergency services pulled their finger out is when they needed to maintain their lie that the electronic torture wasn't going on. How is London any different? How is London any different? It occurred to me that maybe I should go back there. Not because I wanted to, but just because, I started getting itchy feet. And that's the thing with me. I get itchy feet. I'm one of those people, right? I can't live with people and I need to travel a lot in order to stay grounded. The irony. I need to travel in order to stay grounded. I'm not those type of people, all I wanted was a normal life with like a husband and children and stuff like that. But I realized me having a normal life is just not what's going to make me happy. What makes me happy is traveling. What makes me happy is moving around the place. What makes me happy is not having to live with people. And it's not because people get on my nerves or people are full of shit. It's because with my borderline personality disorder, somebody could say something or do something and not mean any harm to me whatsoever. And I will fucking go off the deep end and go on 10 because of everything that I've been through and everything that my mental illness is doing. So somebody could say something to me and I'd immediately be on 10. So these perps want to force me on people. These torturers, these handlers, they want to force somebody like me onto other people just so that they can feel like they're in control. It's pathetic. And the way they're doing it is so stupid. Like, my guy, even if you did want me to go back to London, which I know you don't, even if you did want me to go back to London, how the fuck am I meant to go back there if you're zapping electronic weaponry at my back all the time? How am I supposed to go to London if I can't walk? How am I supposed to move all my shit out of here if I can't walk? Better yet, how am I meant to be carted off by police and by mental health services if I can't fucking walk? Unless you're planning to bring the police down here and have them engage in police brutality again for no good reason. How are you going to succeed in doing that? You want to make that mistake last time of engaging in police brutality against me when you had nothing to arrest me for? You really want to make that mistake? You want to make that mistake again with somebody with a bad back? You want everybody to know? You saw me at the hospital. You know how much pain I was in. Imagine me being in a fucking police jail cell, screaming down the place. Imagine me screaming down the place with the police carting me off for harassment or for mental health issues. Like, you clearly just did not think this through. And on top of this, it's not my fucking fault. Like, I think I have to make it clear that I'm not talking to the neighbours at this point, because I have to make it clear. I always have to make it clear who the fuck I'm talking to, and I'm sick of it. I'm talking to the perps, specifically to the perps and to the people torturing me. Like, what are you getting out of this? What, some cheap satisfaction of seeing me in pain? Big deal. Big deal. Like, none of your plans are working. None of your plans are working. This whole fucking thing was a disaster. When I was at fucking Brighton Hospital, I showed you up. I showed you up. I showed all the people that you work for. I showed them up. I didn't do it on purpose, but that's the position you put me in. I showed the motherfuckers up. I showed the motherfuckers up because you put me in that position. You put me in that position. You didn't have to put me in that position. You didn't have to make sure that I was faced with microaggressions, not to do with my race, but TI microaggressions. You didn't have to put me in a bed where the curtain wasn't all the way there. You didn't have to neglect to put me in a hospital gown. You didn't have to do any of that. You could have just let these people do their job properly. You didn't have to lie about what was on my MRI scan either. You did that to yourselves. It's not my fucking fault. None of this is my fucking fault. And me screaming down the place, I'm sure that wasn't in the plan. I'm sure that wasn't in the plan when it came to the fucking, the entrapment. I'm sure that wasn't part of the entrapment, me screaming down the place in agony. There are certain things, right, that, even I'm not smart enough to do. You brought this shit on yourselves, man. You brought this shit on yourselves. And now you want to blame me by firing weapons on my back and firing weapons every time I get a period. You want to fire weapons. And try to make out like, oh, I'm a big drama queen because... No, people can see those tears are real. They know what you're doing. They know what you're doing. They can see those tears are real. They're not stupid. People know that nobody's going to scream and cry like that from Munchausen syndrome or a performance. They know nobody's going to do that. Who are you trying to kid? And again, people want me to move out of here. They want to engage in this entrapment bollocks to move me out of here. But how the fuck are you going to move me out of here if I can't walk? How the fuck are you going to get me back to London if I can't walk and you've got people around me who want to make it as difficult for me as possible? How the fuck are you going to get me out of here? How are you going to do that? How are you going to do that? That's what I'm saying. From a TI perspective, I'm in a lot of fucking pain. I am going through a lot right now, okay? I can't deny that. I'm going through a lot. I've been tortured. I've been through so much over these past 10 months, coming up to 11 months now. I've been through so much these past 11 months. So much. I can't lie. But this is a disaster. This is a fucking disaster. And all for what? All for what? So that you can feel the satisfaction of somebody crying? Like, big deal. Big deal. Even now you're still firing it at my back. What is the point of this? What is the point of this? You must know this whole thing is a fucking disaster. There is evidence of negligence all over the place. All over the place. You must know this is a disaster. You must know this is a disaster. You must know that me being in pain, it wouldn't automatically make something a success, but then you'd know that if you were smart. You're not smart. None of you are smart. I mean, I'm not exactly fucking Stephen Hawking over here, okay? I'm just resourceful. I'm a resourceful person. Doesn't necessarily make me sharp, the sharpest person in the box or the most intelligent person in the box. I'm just a very resourceful person. That's just all it is. Anybody can be resourceful. But I'm just starting to think that you perps are just phenomenally stupid. my line of least resistance was never to, is never to acquiesce. You've been doing this for a decade and a half. How do you not know this? My line of least resistance is not to acquiesce, it's to fight. It's to fight. And you know I'm not going to fight in the same way. You know I'm not going to fight in the same way. You know I'm not always going to fight by yelling at people. You know I'm not always going to fight by, cussing somebody out. You know that's not always going to be my style of fighting. You've been doing this for a decade and a half. How do you not know this? How are you this stupid? And the only reason why you're keeping me in pain and you're keeping this going is to prove that it's not a failure. But once again, just like your proof of everything else, it's a fucking lie. You failed again. And me crying in pain is your only consolation. But you know good and goddamn well I'm going to fight through that too. I've been fighting through it. And every single day I fight through it, I feel a little bit better about myself. I feel a little bit more confident. I feel a little bit more self-assured. Every single time I fight through it, I feel just that little bit stronger. I hate myself just that little bit less. I hate myself just that little bit less. I appreciate myself just that little bit more. Every single time I struggle and even when I don't succeed, I realize just how incredible my handling of all of this is. And how much strength and how much courage that I've displayed. And yeah, everybody can talk about how I'm being arrogant, but again, the proof speaks for itself. The way I've handled it is fucking boss. I scream, I cry, but guess what? I also fight hard, and I usually win. So, perps and handlers, you really got to understand it's not my fault that you've been set up, and it's not my fault that you guys are failures. It's not my fault. You had one job to maintain control of a situation, and you can't do that and never will because you don't know people. You don't know people. You have to know people in order for your torture to work. You don't know people. You don't have respect for people. All you ever think about is yourselves, and that's why you continue to fail. And you think that just because we're in pain, that what you're doing is working. Yeah. It's not working just because I'm in pain. Still able to bathe with difficulty, but I'm still able to bathe. There's certain things I'm still able to do in spite of you. That you couldn't stop me from doing. Like I bathed this morning without my fucking painkillers. Without my painkillers. In spite of everything that you've done. You need to get this through your heads, and you need to get this through your heads now. It's not targeted individuals' fault that you were set up because of your narcissism and your sociopathy and your psychopathy. It's not our fault you got set up. It's not our fault you got set up, and you causing us pain is not going to change the fact that you're being set up. It just means that you have further to fall than we do. Do you understand what I'm saying? And the thing is, this whole pain thing was supposed to make me go crazy. And this is the thing that you've missed. It did. It did make me go crazy. But this is the thing about you. You don't understand what somebody else's crazy actually looks like. You can make taunts. You can bring up the past. You can do all kinds of dumb shit. But at the end of the day, all you know how to do is piss people off. You don't know them. Anyway, that was my message for the perps. I don't mind TIs watching it as well, because TIs, we got to let them know they fucking failed. They're failing repeatedly. And they think because they're causing us pain, they're not failing. They are. You can take comfort in that. And you can also take comfort in the fact that you are tougher than you know. This is where my confidence comes from. If gangstalkers want to take credit for something, they can take credit for my confidence. I used to think to myself, you know what? You know how some people say that failure is shared and success is of your own doing. I used to have that mindset. But no, let me just thank the gangstalkers real quick. Because if it wasn't for you and your foolishness, I wouldn't have found the gold in myself. I wouldn't realise my inherent value as a woman. I wouldn't realise my inherent value as a person if I hadn't survived everything that you tried to put me through. All the stupid microaggressions, or the draining high school bullshit. And now this pain that you're putting me through. If it wasn't for this, my respect for myself would have still been at zero. Now I realise how powerful I am because of you. So, perps, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. A complete disaster, like I said, but with a good outcome. So anyway, my fellow TIs, you guys stay strong and stay blessed. I'm going to get through this back pain. I'm going to get through it. I'll find a way. I don't want to find a way, but I will. Okay? Take care, you guys. See you later. Bye-bye.